Hi everyone, welcome back to YA Read Along. This week we finished up Six of Crows by reading from chapter 21 to the end. Let's go over what happened. The crows finally arrive in the beautiful, colorful city of Jerhome. They see the majestic ice court castle on distant cliffs. They stay at an old tavern while in the city. From there they can see the castle gate and the guards. They watch the wagons come and go from the castle complex. Kaz says their way into the ice court is as prisoners in one of the wagons that they see. They fell a tree and it covers the road that a wagon is taking. They quickly switch places with the prisoners in the wagon, even assuming their shackles, while the drivers try to remove the tree from their path. They make it through the checkpoints and into the castle complex. The male and female prisoners are sent to separate parts of the castle prison, so the group is divided for the time being. They have agreed that they will time their movements to the chimes of the elder clock. Kaz has 2 lockpicks taken from him by the guards as a ploy, and Jesper reveals that he is a Grisha when he forms 2 new picks from the iron on the prison bars. The guys escape, and Jesper and Matthias go in search of rope while Kaz and Wylan go to break the girls out of their cells. They are supposed to meet in the incinerator room, but Kaz and Nina go searching for Boyul Bayor. Nina doesn't find him, but comes across a Grisha experimentation and torture room, and in her horror, she runs. She bumps into 2 guards and has to use her Heartrender powers to strangle them. One falls down the stairs and his gun discharges. The incinerator was used in the afternoon instead of in the morning, as Matthias remembered and told the crew. So it is still hot when Inej climbs it. It even melts the soles of her slippers. Inej makes it to the top and drops the rope down. Everyone scrambles up except Jesper, who is waiting for Kaz. Kaz is late getting back to the group because he has been searching for Pekka Rollins. He thought Pekka was also in pursuit of Boyul Bayor, and this was confirmed when they saw Pekka's men dead on the pyres when they were traveling. Kaz had assumed from there that Pekka must have been captured and was being held in a cell somewhere in the Fjerdan castle. He thinks it's finally time for his long-awaited revenge. Just as Jesper begins to climb up the incinerator, Kaz appears, covered in blood. The sound of the gunshots that were heard when the guards were strangled by Nina set off the Fjerdan Yellow Protocol. Nina encountered the guards when she went looking for Kaz. The Code Black resets the plan, and Kaz decides the girls will sneak into the palace as guests and revelers for the Fjerdan holiday called Hringala. Inej and Nina go up through the ventilation to drop into a holding room for the menagerie girls. If you remember, Inej used to work at the menagerie for Tante Elaine before she started working for Kaz instead. They steal the girls' clothes and papers, and Nina hastily gives herself and Inej the M tattoo. When they emerge, they try to get past the guards, who are scrutinizing each guest. Nina flirts her way through, as she does, but the guard thinks Inej's tattoo over the scar of her old one looks suspicious, so she gets sent to another line for people who need a second check. Nina must proceed on her own. Kaz and Matthias are taking another route in, across the ice moat. Matthias knows the secret to crossing at water level thanks to his Driscoll initiation. Once they walk across on the glass bridge, hidden just beneath the surface, Kaz picks a lock and they're in. There are several guards in the hallway, and they disable them and take their uniforms and guns. Meanwhile, Jesper and Wylan are entering from the roof. Jesper does a daring descent right above a group of guards' heads. Wylan has to cause a distraction when they almost spot Jesper, so he starts singing the Fjerdan national anthem, which he learned from his tutors back home. This distracts the guards long enough that they can blindside them with an attack. Then Jesper and Wylan hurry into position. Their mission is to cut the rope on the wrench controlling the main gate into the Ice Palace. It's tough because instead of a strong rope like they were expecting, the wrench holds a metal chain. They have to find metal files and work as quickly as possible. Back to Nina, who gets to the party with the other menagerie girls, and she's relieved to see that Kaz and Matthias have made it too. She sidesteps a couple of Fjerdan men who have shown interest in her, but she is surprised to turn and see that the latest Fjerdan trying to get her attention is Yarrow Broom. He is the leader who supposedly drowned over a year ago in the shipwreck that she and Matthias had survived. And we cut back to Jesper and Wylan. Jesper hears the elder clock chime and knows that they should already be done. Not long after, they saw through the chain and begin to raise the gate. Jesper wonders whether the alarms are really going to go off as Matthias promised, and then suddenly they do. The bells of the Black Protocol boom everywhere. After much struggle, the chain finally breaks completely. Inej is still trying to get cleared through the new set of guards when the Menagerie Madame, Tante Helene, spots and identifies her. Just as Helene is about to reveal that Inej now works for Kaz and that he must be here too, they all hear the Black Protocol bells boom. The guards tell them no one is getting out of the complex tonight because the gate will be lowered according to the Black Protocol. Nina wonders if Brum recognizes her from over a year ago. She hopes that he doesn't because she looks very different in her menagerie attire than she did as a dirty prisoner on the ship. She decides to take a chance and see if he's the one who will reveal Boyul Bayur's location to her. She acts like she wants to see a Grisha in person, and he offers to escort her away to show her one. He takes her to a very secure location, the treasury, and she can't help but wonder if this is where Yul-Bayur is. It doesn't seem like it's a place for normal Grisha prisoners. Brum says this was a former vault area that is now used as a laboratory. The hallway in the lab is filled with cells, sealed with white doors with a window on each. Each cell holds a young Grisha obviously dosed up on Jurda-Param. Brum calls them the future. She asks him to take her somewhere private, insinuating he'll get his reward for showing her this. She plans on torturing him for information on Yul-Bayur's location. He leads her to a secluded room, but it's actually just another cell. He locks her inside and calls her by name. He has known who she is all along. He threatens to push the button to release Jurda-Param in a gaseous form, but then says there's someone else with much more reason than he to take vengeance on her. Then Matthias's face appears on the window on the door. He says he found Brum as soon as he was able, and he's anxious to see Nina dose with Jurda-Param so she'll betray her own people and crave her next fix. Matthias asks Brum about the scientists creating the Jurda-Param as they walk away from Nina's cell. Brum says that as long as Boyul-Bayur cooperates, he will live. Matthias is troubled by all the Grisha being held there, and finds out that this has secretly been done to all convicted Grisha even before the Jurda-Param, because the Ice Court uses them for various purposes. And even though he had hoped for Nina to be locked up for a long time, Matthias is surprised by the pain that he feels now that it's done. He asks about Yul-Bayur, and Brum reveals that he is held here in the lab too, behind a door opened only by the key around Brum's neck. He says he'll show Yul-Bayur to Matthias soon, but he must first make sure that the Black Protocol is properly administered. He promises he will get Matthias reinstated as a Driscoll. Matthias recollects how Brum took him in when he was an orphan and trained him to be the dutiful, loyal Driscoll he used to be. Then Matthias thinks about all that changed when he met Nina. After spending time with her, his hate for the Grisha vanished when he realized how everything he was taught was wrong and that Nina is human and a good person. Matthias embraces his mentor and then uses a sleeper hold to render him unconscious. This new plan had formed in the ballroom when Matthias saw Brum recognize and then approach Nina. Kaz thought they could save Nina and at the same time use Brum to get Yul-Bayur. Matthias drags Brum into a cell and takes the key from around his neck and locks the door behind him. He leaves to go rescue Nina. Back to Jesper and Wylan, who encountered guards just as several Shu materialize, seemingly out of thin air, and basically vaporize the guards. They turn to Jesper and Wylan, and then Jesper calls on his Grisha powers to defeat them. Matthias and Nina make it to the vault and find Yul-Bayur's son, Kuei Yulbo, instead. He says that his father is dead. He was killed in a battle between the Firdans and the Kirch. They had intended to kill him, but can't bring themselves to harm the innocent boy, who had been held captive based on his father's crimes. They ask him to destroy the lab, which he is only happy to do. They discover he's an Inferni Grisha as he incinerates the lab. His father, who was also Grisha, accidentally developed the Jurda-Param when he was trying to develop a potion to hide their abilities and keep them safe. Kaz is there waiting for Matthias and Nina to exit the vault facility. Just when he sees them in the doorway with the young boy, Kuei, an explosion knocks them all over the edge. Kaz grabs Kuei and shoves a baleen pellet into his mouth as they fall into the icy moat. He bites down on his pellet and makes Kuei do the same. They have around 10 minutes to breathe underwater thanks to this invention. Kaz hopes that he has figured out the castle complex correctly, that it's built on a spring, and the spring will carry them into the gorge below. As his 10 minutes runs out, he's still underwater, and his thoughts go to Inej. He wants to live to tell her that he wants to be a better man for her. Speaking of Inej, she's being whisked along the corridor by 2 guards. She sees 2 more coming toward them and decides to try to overtake them before it's 4-on-1. But the 2 guards approaching are actually Jesper and Wylan in disguise, and they take down the 2 guards who are escorting her. The trio work to drill their way through Grisha-made glass using a drill built by Wylan and a diamond Inej stole from Helene back at the celebration. When they make a small hole, Inej gets through and swings trapeze-like on a chandelier to land on their prize, a tank. She shoots a cannon at the glass to break the rest of it. Wylan and Jesper swing on ropes through the hole and onto the tank. Jesper takes over driving and Wylan takes over the guns with Inej's help. They're being fired on the whole time as they roll through the enclosure and then break through the wall. Nina and Matthias emerge from the water and pull themselves onto the shore. Kuei and Kaz wash up too, but Kaz is unconscious. They have to revive him. They hear something coming in the distance and hope it's their friends in the tank. It is, but they are being pursued by many more tanks. They take out the bridge with a cannon so the other tanks can't follow. When they crest the hill by the harbor, they are met by row after row of Fjerdan troops. They have 1 Grisha with them, a heartrender high on Jurdaparam. They say they will attack Kaz and his friends if they don't release Kuei to them. Nina thinks their only chance is for her to take Jurdaparam and fight fire with fire. Most Grisha are hopelessly addicted and never the same after just 1 dose. So her friends try to talk her out of it, but she knows it's the only way and takes the dose Kuei pulls from a pouch at his belt. Nina attacks the Heartrender first and then takes control of all the Fjerdan soldiers at once. A group of Driscoll show up wearing clothing protecting them from Grisha. They shoot Matthias in the chest and Nina immediately heals him. They shoot Nina repeatedly, but she heals herself over and over. She uses the soldiers under her control to take off all the Driscoll's protective clothing, leaving them vulnerable to her. She's now able to harm them, but doesn't at Matthias's request. The group boards the Fjerdan and take off out of the harbor. They make it safely to the open sea, and the group anxiously watches Nina to see if the effects of the Jurdaparam will set in. Nina tells Inej that with her current enhanced senses, she can hear Kaz's breath catch every time he looks at her. Kaz arrives and gets some time alone with Inej. He asks what she will do with her share of the money. She says she will buy a boat, get a crew, and learn to sail. He asks her to stay with him instead. She says he has to shed his armor or she won't have him at all. He doesn't respond. The withdrawals and aches set in for Nina, and Matthias is by her side the whole time. Jesper is feeling a little guilty he didn't offer to take Jurdaparam too. He wonders why he hadn't seen Wylan since they boarded the ship. He is happy when they spot the Ketterdam shore and gets in the longboat with Kaz to paddle to shore. They have a runner take a message to Van Eck and soon meet him at Velgeluk, a small nearby island. He has the money for them, but tries to double-cross them. He has brought a group of flying Grisha high on Jurdaparam with him. He says none of them will leave the island, and he will destroy the Fjerdan, which is docked nearby. Kaz says that Wylan stayed behind on the ship to care for Nina. He thinks that Van Eck won't want to harm his son. Van Eck says he has always been ashamed of his son and his illiteracy, and was not upset when he left the family recently. Van Eck has the Grisha destroy the ship anyway, but Kaz has a trick up his sleeve too. The prisoner with them is not Kuei, but Wylan, magically tailored to look like Yulbayur's son. Van Eck demands to know where the real Kuei is. Kaz says only if they let them safely off the island with their money. Van Eck says to kill everyone but Kaz, and then he sees the crucial mistake that Kaz makes. His eyes cut to Inej for just a second. Van Eck knows he has discovered Kaz's weakness. He commands his Grisha to grab the money and Inej, and they all fly away. Kaz and the whole group fight for her, but in the end, Van Eck and his crew escape with Inej in tow. Before he leaves, Van Eck says they will have 1 week to bring him the real Kuwait or Inej will be tortured. Jesper is mad that Kaz asked Wylan to transform and is mad at Wylan for following through with it. Kaz chastises Jesper for being the one who gave their heist attempt away to Pekka Rollins when he mentioned it during a card game before they left town. It was an innocent mistake, but stupid at the same time. He kept this tailoring from him as a punishment. Then all of a sudden, Kaz's scheming face returns and he says he's going to teach Van Eck a new trick that he'll never forget. He says he'll need the right crew to do it. Jesper, Wylan, and Matthias all agree to help. So, how does Six of Crows end? The crew, including Nina and Kuwait, who had always been in hiding during the exchange with Van Eck, pays Pekka Rollins a visit at his Emerald Palace casino. Pekka owes Kaz a favor since Kaz let him escape instead of killing him back at the Fjerdan prison, and Kaz has come to collect. Kaz gives a vague summary of their situation and asks for 2 things. He needs to get a message to the Ravkan capital fast, and he needs 200,000 kruges to fund their next heist. Kaz will even give Pekka his shares at the Crow Club and Fifth Harbor in return. Pekka complies. Before he leaves, Kaz mentions that he doesn't think Pekka remembers him at all. Pekka says he doesn't, but asks if he should. Kaz says not yet, and Pekka can see the hatred in his eyes for just a second. Pekka watches the crew leave his casino, and once they are out the door, he realizes he is missing everything valuable that was on his person. His pocket watch, his wallet, his tie pin, his coin pendant, and the gold buckles on his shoes. Pekka vows to kill Kaz if Van Eck doesn't do it first. And that's it. If you're left feeling like you're hanging off a cliff at the end of this, definitely dive into the sequel, Crooked Kingdom, as soon as you can. Thank you so much for joining me during these read-along discussions. I hope you found it as fun as I did. Make sure to check out the library's upcoming summer programs. Bye!